Good morning, Charged family, afternoon, evening, night, wee hours of the morning, whatever time it is that you're tuning in. Thank you for coming to Mrs. Boyd's Math Room. I'm Mrs. Boyd. Today, we're going to talk about transversals and parallel lines. We've described transversals and how the lines are related to each other and angles. Now we're going to look at parallel lines in specific cases. So when lines are parallel, a transversal creates pairs of angles with special properties. Some angles are congruent, and we're going to use what we know about these pairs to talk about this. Congruent angles, those are going to give us the alternate interior angles theorem. So alternate interior angles are congruent. Also, the alternate exterior angles theorem. Alternate exterior angles are congruent. The vertical angles theorem. Vertical angles are congruent, and the corresponding angles postulate, or corresponding angles are also congruent. The only one that we haven't mentioned is that supplementary angles. That means consecutive interior angles theorem tells us that consecutive interior angles are supplementary. Just as a reminder, that means the sum of their measures is 180 degrees. All right, so let's look at an example here. If the measure of angle 100, measure of angle 1 is 100, I'm going to write it down in here because that helps me quite a bit. And the measure of angle 5 is 75. Find the rest of the angles and list the theorem or postulate used. So we know the measure of angle 1. Now we want to find the measure of angle 2, which is right here. Well, it is 80 degrees because of the supplementary angle theorem. Supplementary ang. That's because angle 1 and 2 are supplementary angles, so they have to equal 180 degrees. The measure of angle 3 is 100 degrees because angle 1 and angle 3 are vertical angles. So we'll use the vertical angle theorem to prove that. Angle 4 is 80 degrees. Also, because we know that angle 2 is 80 degrees, angle 4 is a vertical angle to that. So we use the vertical angle theorem to prove that. Measure of angle 5 is 75. Can't scoot it up a little. Let's see if I can get away with scooting it up just a bit. So the measure of angle 6 is 105 because the supplementary angle theorem. Angles 5 and 6 are supplementary, so that means their sums are, the sum of their measures is 180. Measure of angle 7 is 75 because of the vertical angle theorem. Because angle 5 and 7 are vertical angles. Likewise, the measure of angle 8 is 105 because of the vertical angle theorem. Because Angle 6 and 8 are vertical angles. Now we're going to scoot on down to 9 through 15. Measure of angle 9 is 100. Might have to look on your paper to see why. But it's because measure of angle 1 and angle 9 are corresponding angles. So we'll use the corresponding angle postulate to prove that. Angle 10 is 80, also because of the corresponding angle postulate, because we've already found all the measures of the angles on the top. Angle 11 is 100. Angle 12 is 80. Angle 13 is 75. 14 is 105. 15 is 75. And 16 is 105. All of those reasons are the corresponding angle postulate. Every one of the angles on the bottom transversal, the bottom parallel line, are all corresponding to the one on the top. So if we can find the top angles, we can use the corresponding angle postulate to find the bottom angles. Okay? Turn your paper over. Let's use the theorems to solve for x and y. Now, we had some practice naming what angles are related to which ones why. Now let's use some of our algebra skills. So we've got 2x plus 4 is this angle measure right here. And x plus 32 is the other vertical angle. Well, we know vertical angles are congruent. So we can say 2x plus 4 equals x plus 32 and solve for x. So we can subtract x from each side. We get x plus 4 is 32. And subtract 4 and get x is 28. We want to find y at this point. Well, we know that this angle, 2x plus 4, is the same as the top one, right? These are corresponding angles, and they are congruent. So I know if I add those angles together, 2x plus 4 and 8y minus 4, they're going to equal 180. So I can say 2x plus 4 plus 8y minus 4 equals 180. Well, here's the problem. I have an x and a y and only one equation. Luckily, I can plug in what we know about x to our equation and only have y left. So we've got 2 times 28, that's 56, plus 4, plus 8y minus 4 is 180. That's 8y plus 56 is 180. Can subtract 56 from each side. Get 8y is, I get my calculator out. Is 124. And divide both sides by 8. And then get y is 15.5. Okay, so we use the theorems that we know about. We had to find one angle at a time. We could do it. Let's try another. Here we've got some supplementary angles, 4x minus 16 and 3y plus 2. We know that those are going to add up to be 180. Problem is we don't know. We have two variables and one equation, so we can't do anything with that one yet. We know that 4x minus 16 is the same here because they're corresponding angles. And we know that 4x minus 16 and 3x plus 14 are vertical angles. So those are going to be equal to each other. So let's find x first. Those are 4s. So we can subtract 3x from each side. And x minus 16 is 14. We add 16 to each side, and x is 30. So now we can plug that into this other equation. 4 times 30 minus 16 plus 3y plus 2 is 180. That's 120 minus 16 plus 2 plus 3y is 180. 120 minus 16 is 104 plus 2 is 106 plus 3y is 180. Subtract that 106 from each side. And we get 3y is, calculator again, 180 minus 106. 3y is 74. So that means y is 24.67 or 74 thirds. All right, getting the hang of it, I hope. Last one. Now we've got 2y plus 15 and y plus 30 that are supplementary. So when we add those together, we'll get 180, and we can solve this. 3y plus 45 is 180. That means 3y, if we subtract 45, 3y is 135. Divide by 3, and y is 45. So we know that 2y plus 15 is also that angle. So we can say, I've got more space. 2y plus 15 equals 5x plus 8. We also know that y is 45. So 2 times 45 plus 15 is 5x plus 8. That's 90 plus 15. It's 5x plus 8. That's 105 is 5x plus 8. So we can subtract 8. That's 97. My brain is mush. I'm going to have to check that on my calculator. Yep, equals 5x. Divide by 5, and x is 97 over 5, or 19.4. Okay, I hope this is making all sorts of sense to you. If you need any help, you know how to reach me. Let me know how you're doing. I hope to see you soon.